Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Eye on the Tigers, sponsored by the Node Network. That is Kneaux, the only way to spell it. Today, I'm Bryce Duhorn of the Off the Dome Sports Podcast and talking to Coach Gary Redus II. Coach, how we doing?
Doing good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, living the dream. Glad to have you here. Glad that we can put out this content and give a behind the scenes look at our favorite assistant coach from the LSU women's basketball team. Um, just starting off, you as a person, dad's a 13-year MLB player. You come from a sports background. Did that have any influence into you, as a kid, really getting into the athletic world?
Yeah, I mean, I was always around sports. Baseball wasn't really my thing, but my older sister, who's now the head coach of a Division II program, uh, Palm Beach Atlantic. I have three older sisters, but my sister, I growing up, like I was always with her, going to her practices and games and everything like that. She played everything. She was after my dad, she was probably the second best athlete in the family. They always give me a hard time for that. Uh, but I grew up going to her practices and her games, and from an early age, like basketball was always just kind of my thing.
Yeah, and don't sell yourself short. For the people who don't know, Coach Redus played at South Alabama, was a very good player there, went on to play internationally for 5 years. I've never got to talk to anybody who played overseas, so just from my perspective, what was it like playing a sport that you grew up playing as a kid, and you're thinking about maybe big college basketball, NBA dreams, but you get to go to places like China, and I know you went to the Middle East and Mexico as well. So what was it like, playing a game you love, but playing it in a non-familiar place?
It's different. It's different. I mean, it's rewarding. I think when you think about it and you like kind of take a step back, it's very rewarding. Uh, it's an experience. It's an experience. I think playing in China, especially fresh out of college, that was definitely an experience. There's a lot of people in China. There's a lot of people in China, and I feel like they all were smoking cigarettes. Uh, it was crazy. I mean, it was an experience. I
Yeah.
didn't love it. I liked being home. I liked being around people. I was on the other side of the world, and I couldn't even really talk to people the way I wanted to because of the time difference and everything like that. Like I was just kind of I was really like a fish out of water. The basketball part was great. I loved playing ball, so I loved being able to continue to play ball.
Yeah.
That part was great, but I think just kind of the day to day with myself, like it wasn't a great fit. So I didn't know exactly how long I wanted to do it. I wanted to kind of keep pushing as long as I could, but looking back, it was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, great experience, but you always have that culture shock. And I think, speaking on that idea of culture shock is, Kim Mulkey coming to LSU. That was huge for us. Is we go from, I mean, basketball, we have Shaq, we have, Ben Simmons went number one overall, Pete Maravich center, one of the greatest players in college basketball history. But for Kim Mulkey to come in and solidify a women's basketball program at LSU was something different for us as well. So can you kind of talk about like what the culture's like in the building with having such a polarizing figure like Kim Mulkey?
It's something I've never been a part of. I've never been a part of anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. I've never been. One of the main reasons I came here was because of Coach Mulkey, was to kind of see how it is and how she does it, and kind of what it's like to really just be around her on a day-to-day basis. She just commands every single room that she goes in. uh the culture is different, man. The culture is one of just, it's detailed. uh it's a level of accountability across the board. But it's fun. Like I think you can see it like from our like team and our coaching staff, and just kind of how the girls are. Uh, Moki wants you to have fun. She wants you to enjoy what it is that you're doing, but she wants you to make sure that you get your work done. And I think that's the culture that we're trying to make sure that we continue to build here.
Yeah, and I think it shows on the court as well. It's not just a behind the scenes like y'all are having fun, but you can see the fun on the court and you can see the bond between the players.
Hmm.
Another person on the staff I wanted to talk about. somebody who probably gets overlooked a lot, but I know the name from being an LSU fan, Bob Starkey. I
Oh,
mean, absolute LSU legend when it comes to the coaching realm. Coached here for what felt like 100 years, and he played a large part in those '90s and 2000s teams that LSU had on the men's side, and also Simone Augustus. She now has her own statue outside of the PMAC. And he would played a large part in her career. So what's it like being able to sit under a guy like that? Like you said, you were never in an experience like this. You never experienced anything like this. You were at Vandy, you were at SMU, you even had some time at the D2 level. So being able to learn from somebody like Coach Starkey, what's that been like?
he made this situation a no-brainer for me. Uh, I think as a younger assistant, when you get into these type of situations, I think it's easy to, kind of want to be a part of a winning tradition and work for someone like Coach Mulkey. But while I'm an assistant, I want to be a really good assistant and I want to be the best assistant possible. And who better to learn from than Bob Starkey? Uh, we have a certain type of bond because everyone who was on staff here, everyone who is on staff here, they came with Coach Mulkey from Baylor, except for me and Coach Starkey. Uh, and man, like he's just a wealth of knowledge. I go in there sometimes and just to kind of, whether it's venting, whether it's asking questions, any big decision that I ever have with whatever it is pertaining to the job, I always call him. I always call him because I value his perspective so much and his opinion so much. And just to get to be around him, to get to see the way that he is, in practice, in coaches' meetings, in scouts and breaking down the film and compiling the scouts, uh, to be able to learn that, like I really feel like that's invaluable. I think that he's really a head coach, but he just doesn't want to be a head coach. But everything that he does is like the head coach vibe. Like he has a
Yeah.
real head coach vibe about him. Uh, we're completely opposite, but we see it like kind of the same way. And I think being here with him, that's what made this situation for me like something that in no way I could turn down.
Yeah, and my next question perfectly rolls into that because you talked about the differences in people and how y'all two are so different, but yet you work it out and you have somebody to lean on when it comes to learning and just venting and getting it all out. For me, I look at this team that we just saw take the floor, and I know it didn't end the way we wanted it to. Obviously, if you don't win the last game, it's never a good feeling, but it felt like so many different personalities were on the floor, so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds. You can see it in press conferences, you can see it at practice, you can see it on game day. What is it like taking a team of all these different people, all these, to give a Louisiana reference, a gumbo of players, and yet putting them into one product that goes to the Elite Eight? What's that like behind the scenes for somebody like you?
For me, I think that it's fun for me because you kind of get to see a little bit of your creation a little bit come to life. Like I do a lot of the recruiting, so bringing Angel in the first year, Flage was already here. You sign Michaela, who's homegrown, but then you go and get these superstar talent kids like Anissa and like Haley, and you sign Aaliyah, you have Samaya, you know, you had Kateri. You have all of these different kids and you have all of these different personalities. And I think to be able to watch on a daily basis, watch Coach Mulkey try to really like push and pull and tug and really like work it out. Uh, I think the process is the most fun. You hear the quote, "The journey is the reward," and I think that's really what it was with this team. It wasn't perfect, by any means, and it wasn't easy at all. Uh, but I think that we set out to do something with this team, kind of that had never been done before. And ultimately we fell short of the goal, But I think to be able to do something that was just so much bigger than all of us, and so much bigger than each individual, to try to get them to come together as a team, it was really really fun. You know, we had some all we had some hard headed ones, right? But we're hard headed. Like
Yeah.
as coaches, I think that we want things to go a certain way, but things may naturally go a little bit better one way, uh, or this way this day, and this way this way. Uh, but yeah, man, I think that it was a very informative process. I think it was a tough process, but it was fun. It was fun. These kids all they 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 showed so much selflessness kind of in this process that you don't expect from kids who are, you know, all Americans in high school, coming from different schools where they were all Americans. The makeup of the team was just completely different as our team was in our national championship season. So to try to mold that together, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, so quickly you guys have set a new standard for college basketball. Not only here in Louisiana at LSU, but nationally. To take a team that, a lot of people were overlooking, they know, Kim Mulkey's the coach. They're going to be good. Everybody understands that. But then to turn it around and win a national championship in year 2 in her stint, and then come out this year 3, have what feels like a brand new team, other than the building blocks of like Flage and Angel and Poe. You had your people coming back, but it was a lot of new chemistry going on. So I think for me personally, even though this year didn't end with that trophy being hoisted, the new standard has been set, and people have something to look forward to. So I just want to say thank you from all of us LSU fans for
Thank you.
setting that new standard for us. And you touched on recruiting a little bit, and that's the biggest thing I know about Coach Redus is he is the best recruiter that LSU's ever seen. That's what everybody knows as LSU fans. So where did you get that knack for recruiting from? Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up playing with like trading cards, right? Like I would get a lot of trading cards. I would open them up. I would look at them. I would memorize the stats on the back. Uh, I My brain just works in a very unique way. I think that, and sometimes I just can't cut it off. So I think that recruiting just kind of comes naturally when it comes to the way I process information mixed with like my personality. I like to talk. Like I like to talk, and that's all recruiting really is to me. It's just building relationships. So if I can build relationships, but I also know everything about you, uh, I think that it works. Like
Yeah,
because I not only know everything about you, I know everything about all of the players.
yeah,
So I make a list. I go down the list. I see which ones can work, because you can kind of tell what everybody it can't make it here. I
hmm
don't think that this situation is for everybody. Uh, and I think it's just a little bit of figuring that out. It's a little bit of figuring it out, whether it be quickly figuring it out or at the end of it. Sometimes you kind of look back and say, yeah, that wasn't gonna really work anyway. So
yeah,
I just try to, it's what I do. It's really just what I do. Even before I was coaching, like when my sister was coaching, like we go over it all the time. I think that recruiting, roster construction, and just the information of each recruit, I think all of those things go hand in hand. And I think that's like my hobby. So not only is it my job, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy thinking about what our team could look like if we get these pieces,
yeah.
and I get obsessed with trying to go and get those pieces. Uh, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's just kind of how I'm wired.
No,
Uh,
that's
I
a
guess
perfect answer.
yeah,
No, I love it.
it's tough for me to even say like I'm good at my job. I mean, I guess so, but
I,
it's
I will
just
I will be the one to say you are good at your job. We won a national championship, made an Elite Eight, and you had a big part in that. So,
thank
um,
you, man.
although you may not say it, I'll say it.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
one big idea question before we start winding down is, to me, this feels like a new era in women's basketball. I mean, Angel and, of course, she's transferring out now, but Haley coming in for
Mhm.
us and getting Anissa, having Angel and Flage, who's, just as big of a star off the court as she is on. And
Mhm.
then you look at, the game we had yesterday in the national championship, with Caitlin Clark being one of the most polarizing players in college basketball history, not just women's. And then you look at the WNBA and what they're doing right now, and it's really high quality product. I went to my first WNBA game this past summer, got to watch the New York Liberty play with Sabrina. So I mean, it's just it feels like we're entering this new era in women's basketball. What role do you think you can play in that, and what do you see from this new era coming on to us?
I think that in this new era of women's basketball, I think that the media is finally allowing the players, and especially like now women's basketball players, they're allowing them to kind of show a little bit of personality, both on and off the court. I don't think that you've seen many women's basketball players. You've seen some, but you haven't really seen many women's basketball players who, attack the basketball game like Caitlin Clark.
Right.
That's rare. You don't usually see that. So to see that and to see her doing it game after game and time after time, like that's rare. Like she's playing a new style. People gravitate towards that. Like you don't see a lot of females, you know, come on the basketball court and play as mean and competitive and look to dominate you and talk about it while they're doing it the way that a kid like Angel does,
Mm-hmm.
and then get all after the game, get on social media and maybe like fire off a tweet about it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that because of this new name, image, likeness, you're letting a lot of kids control the narrative about them.
Yeah.
They can align themselves with brands that represent them, but they can also introduce you a little bit more to them. So I think that to answer the first part of your question, how I can be a part of that, I think that it's fun being able to recruit these kids and let them know that, hey, like not only can you come here and win and develop yourself for the next level, but you can do it all while being allowed to like fully be yourself.
Yeah.
Because not everybody wants to do that, but there are certain kids out there who are like, I'm sick of like having to like feel like I'm restraining myself or holding back from who I fully am. Like I want to go somewhere and be able to really be me and really be able to showcase that both on and off the court. Uh, and it's cool seeing LSU be a big part of that and play a big part in that, just because I think when you have Angel, you have a rapper in Flage, like you got a kid who's a star coming in here, you know, in Haley Van Lith, uh, and then you got like some kids that you may not know too much about, but who were also All Americans, in like Anissa Morrow,
Yeah.
and you got a homegrown kid who you may not hear talk as much, but is a phenomenal basketball player like Michaela Williams. I think
Absolutely.
that we're just trying to. It's funny, like you see people say like, oh, like y'all are just trying to buy the biggest name team, and I'm like, we're just trying to get players to go out there and win and compete. It just so happens that we attract the same kind of energy sometimes. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that the energy, attracts itself. So I
Yeah.
think that when we give off certain energy, because I know I give off a certain energy, I think that's what attracted me to Morky, because she gives off a certain energy and she allows me to, give off that energy, whether it be in practice, whether it be on social media, whether it be in games. Like she allows me to just be myself. And that entail, it makes me be really comfortable. And when I'm really comfortable, I feel like I can do my job that much better.
Yeah.
So I think that's how the girls feel too. Like if they can just be exactly who they want to be, then they can come in here and then they can just play.
That's beautiful. I mean, I love to see. Last year, Coach Mulkey said, LSU is a global brand. Like everybody recognizes those three letters.
Yes.
And for me, as an LSU fan growing up, an LSU student, and somebody who's going to love the purple and gold till the day I die, it means so much to me to see a coach really have pride in something like that. And
Mhm.
not only that, but to back it up on the
Right.
field of play. So, to have this new era of college women's basketball with the NIL, and then even moving on to the WNBA where they're fighting for the higher pay and getting their names out on social media, and people are saying, hey, these are really talented basketball players. We don't have to define them by what they look like. I think it's really important, and I'm really glad LSU is a part of that.
Yes.
So just a couple more questions before we head out on this Eye of the Tigers episode. Do you see yourself being a head coach someday?
One day. One day. I mean, right now, I just want to learn as much as I can from Coach Mulkey and from Coach Starkey and from
Yeah.
this entire situation. I think that was my goal when I came to LSU. I just wanted to be able to. I feel like I've learned a lot about basketball in my life and in my career. But the one thing that I had never gotten to be a part of or learn was how to run a successful, you know, Power Five elite program. Like I had never gotten to be a part of that. I've never gotten to see the daily workings of it. I had never gotten to see, you know, how it's operated. Just the kind of day to day of it. Like what buttons are pushed at certain times. But yeah, when my time comes, one day I definitely want to be a head coach.
And then we know you have the tools to do it for sure. Last thing I want to ask you, when you wake up in the morning and it's time to go to work, and you see all these impacts that you've made, and you get to talk to these girls on a daily basis, what you're going in and doing. If somebody wants to be in a position like you, what would you tell them?
Figure out what really motivates you every single day, and do that, but don't half do it. Like whatever it is that motivates you, however it is that you feel about whatever it is that you're doing, do it, and really give it your all, and don't be afraid of like failure or being hurt in the process. Like just go ahead and do it. I think that every single day when I uh wake up, I get my kids ready. I drop them off at daycare. I talk to my wife in the mornings. Uh, I leave, I get to work, and I really, really like give all of me to it. Like I really give every fiber of me to, if it's not, I don't really do anything else. I live a very boring life inside of like a cool kind of career that I have. I feel like I live a very boring life. Like I have my family, and I have, kind of my extended family, which, are my coworkers, the girls on the team. Uh, but I give it my all. I give everything to it, and I think that it's rewarding when you see certain things. When you really give everything to it, like seeing Angel uh, declare for the draft when I know that that's been her dream for so long. Like it's so rewarding. Like even to see a kid like Haley, her having she left, but it's so rewarding that she had this year of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think that a lot of times with coaches, I think that we can be so focused on ourselves or the next step of our career that sometimes we just forget to really embrace kind of the moments that the kids are having, because that's why we coach. Like that's why I coach for sure. Like I coach because I want the next generation and this next crop of kids to really be able to live out their dreams and have fun doing it and enjoy doing it. I know people don't always enjoy their college experience, but I want people to enjoy their LSU experience. I want to be a part of that enjoyment. Uh, and I think that every single day, like I go out and I just try to bring that joy because I'm happy. And I tried. One of my things, I think, kind of one thing that makes me me is that I try not to have bad days, no matter what it is going on. Like I don't bring that to work. I don't bring that to the girls because they don't deserve that. Like they don't deserve that. They can have a bad day, but I don't get to have one. Like I try to give them my very best every single day. Because if I'm going to ask them for their best out on the court, or their best when we travel and when we go out and play, like I want to make sure that I'm always giving them my best every single day. So whether that's my kids, my marriage, my job, my relationships with recruits, like every phone call, I want to be the best recruiting phone call that they've ever had. And that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Every single interaction with my coworkers, I want it to be the best interaction, that they've had. I want to lift their spirits if they need it every single day. And that's how I approach work. That's how I approach work. I feel like that's how everyone should approach work. I know everyone doesn't approach it like that, but I feel like you get a lot more out of it when you approach it that way. Sometimes you get really tired, and sometimes you feel like you're underappreciated or whatever, but that's in anything, right? But I really do feel like the more that you give, and the more that you kind of give your all, the more you get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better answer there, and couldn't ask for somebody better to talk to. I want to thank you not only for your time, but everything you're doing for what I believe to be the best university on planet Earth, LSU. Beautiful time spent there for me, and can't wait to see what the future holds for not only our university, not only LSU women's basketball, but the entire sport of women's basketball in general. And I know you'll play a big part in it. So again, want to thank you for your time, Coach. This was a great interview. I think people can learn a lot from listening to you, not only about what they can do in the sport of basketball, but anything in their career, anything with their time, and just how to be a better person. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Eye on the Tigers with Coach Redus. I am Bryce. Make sure to check out the Be in the Know Network, KNEAUX, the only way to spell it. This is Eye on the Tigers, and we will see you next time.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Yes, sir.